Hello guys, this is Rajkumar. Today we will discuss part 3 of the Constitution of India. Part 3 of the Constitution mainly deals with fundamental rights, that is comprising from Article 12 to Article 35. These fundamental rights are taken from Constitution of USA, that is Bill of Rights. These fundamental rights are called as Magna Carta of India. Our fundamental rights are very comprehensively written in the Constitution that no other country is so much comprehensive in the world. These fundamental rights, we call it as fundamental because these are guaranteed and protected by the Constitution of India, and these rights are basic needs for any person for the overall growth of that person. Without these rights, surviving in a country is very difficult. So we call it as fundamental rights, mainly because it is guaranteed by the Constitution, and also it is very essential. These rights are very essential for the overall development of a person. There are 7 fundamental rights. There were 7 fundamental rights, but after 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, this right to property has removed, and now there are only 6 fundamental rights. These rights we will discuss one by one in the further slides. We will now discuss the nature of these fundamental rights. These fundamental rights were given by the Constitution of India to all the persons equally. That is, no person is above the law. Without any discrimination, these fundamental rights are given to the persons. These fundamental rights are justiciable, that is, they are guaranteed by the court against the state. These fundamental rights are mainly against the states to limit the powers of the executive and the legislature. These fundamental rights protect the persons against the tyranny of the executive and arbitrary laws made by the legislature. Now these fundamental rights are not absolute, means they are not purely guaranteed. There are some restrictions, reasonable restrictions to each article that we will discuss further. They limit, as I told, they limit the authority of the state and central governments. Means they cannot make any laws which violate the fundamental rights. So we are limiting, that the Constitution of India is limiting the authority of the state and central government for the safeguards of these fundamental rights. There are many fundamental rights which are exclusively given to the citizens, and some are given to both citizens and foreign nationals. These we have discussed already in the chapter citizenship, where I have mentioned article number 15, article 16, article 19, 29 and 30 articles. These are exclusively for citizens of India. And I also told there are 2 categories of foreign nationals, aliens. Those we are called as aliens, friendly alien and enemy aliens. Apart from these articles, foreign nationals enjoy all the fundamental rights given by the Constitution, whereas enemy nationals, enemy aliens, they don't enjoy the article 22. Friendly aliens, they enjoy the article 22, but this is not given to the enemy aliens. Article 22 is not given to enemy aliens. And these fundamental rights can be suspended during the emergency. And we cannot say fundamental rights are guaranteed. The Parliament cannot take away our fundamental rights. We cannot say like that, because Parliament is having the power to amend any fundamental rights, except that it should not disturb the basic nature of the Constitution. Now, as I told, fundamental rights are from article 12 to article 5. These rights are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and education rights, right to constitutional remedies. The seventh right was right to property, that was dealt with Article 31, that was taken away by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, and now it is made as legal right, not a constitutional fundamental right. We will discuss one by one now. Article 12. Article 12 defines what is state. State can be parliament, state legislature, can be any local authority, or any body which is having any authority within the territory of India and under the control of government. These things we call it as a state. Any body under the control of the government will be called as state. Even the Supreme Court will be called as state when it is dealing with administrative matters, and when it is giving the verdict, then we will not call it as a state. So Article 12 defines what is state with reference to the part 3 of the Constitution. So state can be parliament, state legislature, any local authority, or any body which is under the control of the government. Now Article 13. Article 13 says any law, any order, any legislation which is in derogation with the fundamental rights is null and void. That means any law made by the Constitution, any order given by the authority or state, if it is violating any provisions of the fundamental rights, it will be null and void. It will be declared by the Supreme Court as null and void. So any law, any order, any legislation which which is in derogation with the Constitution of India is null and void.